They say when you empower a woman, you empower the whole world. That is quite a true statement. But the women of today, they don't just sit around and wait for them to be empowered. They take the lead. And such is an inspiring story of a woman that is very beautiful, very inspiring, and very intelligent. And she joined us today, and when we're going to discuss about women in leadership. Hello, my name is Latricia Pamba, and today I will be the host of this interview. Joining us today is an inspiring woman. She is the CEO of CCBRT, and her name is Miss Brenda Msangi. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you so much.
Well, you've passed through a lot, so I would like to know your personal story. What did you go through? Where did you study? And how did you become the CEO of CCBRT today?
Okay, so it's a very long story, so I'll try to summarize it. So I was born and raised in Dar es Salaam. I went to Oyster Bay Primary School. I finished my primary school, and then I was selected. Back in our days, it was such an honor to be selected to join a government school. So I was one of the selected students to join Yangwani Girls Secondary School. So that's where I did my O-level and my A-level. My A-level, I did PCB, Physics, Chemistry and Biology. And of course by then we were doing as well general sciences and basic mathematics. So I passed my A-level, so I graduated Division 1, 21 points. But then I could then join higher studies, university. So by then I remember everybody who took PCB, their intention was to become a doctor, but that wasn't me. I never wanted to become a doctor. I had an affinity to do pharmacy. I wanted to become a pharmacist, and this influence came from my dad. Not that he was a pharmacist, he was a marketing person, that was his background, but he had an intention to become a pharmacist. So I said, you know what, let me explore this. I started understanding what it was about, and I applied to go for further studies to do pharmacy. So I did a 4-year master's program in the UK, and then I became a pharmacist. After the 4 years, I worked to register, because you're not, just because you have a master's in pharmacy, it doesn't qualify you to become a pharmacist. So I did a pre-registration year where you had to do professional exams, of which I did, and I passed. So I started working as a pharmacist, but also I was fortunate enough to be a pharmacist manager in the UK, which was something that was it was a great opportunity, because I was the African, the Tanzanian, and the leader by then. So by then I started my leadership journey when I was 26. And so you can imagine this 26-year-old African Tanzanian lady, in a foreign country, leading a team of British citizens in a healthcare industry. So I was working with Lloyd's Pharmacy for some time. I worked there until 2009, where now I joined CCBRT. How I joined CCBRT, it's another story. But I did an interview, and that interview really, I didn't think that it would be so quick to get the job. So that's how grateful I am. I got the job, and in 2009, September, I joined CCBRT as a Deputy Director of Community Programs. So I grew in many different senior management roles at CCBRT, and to finish my educational journey, I did further studies again. So I did my second master's degree in business administration. So I have an MBA in healthcare. So in 2018, December, after playing different roles in CCBRT, I was appointed to be the Chief Executive Officer, and I am the first woman CEO, and I'm also a first Tanzanian CEO. So I am a first local CEO to lead this organization. I guess that in a nutshell. But of course, I'm other things as well. I'm wearing many hats. I'm a wife. I'm married to Mr. Patrick Inemo, and I have 3 beautiful girls.
Wow.
So I'm also a mother, amongst
I
many other
could
things.
imagine you championing them into becoming the great leaders that they'll be in the next future.
Absolutely.
So, well, that is quite impressive. It was like mind-blowing. I'd like to know, has this always been your dream to be at the top management roles? Or when was the time you were like, okay, I could go for more?
That's a very interesting question. I guess it's also how one understand the role of leadership. So to me, leadership is not necessarily a title. It's really how, in your respective role that you're playing, how are you exacting leadership behavior. So you don't have to wait to hold a title to claim yourself as a leader. So for me, leadership started at a very young age. I was a class monitor, I was a prefect at school. So through my journey, I'm a leader like within myself.
Yes.
So in the sense of when did I know that I wanted to become a CEO? Actually, I don't think if I
Had the dream.
it was one of my to-do lists that I want to become a CEO. I think it was just my growth through all the different roles that I played. It kind of took me to that leadership role, whereby the board of directors thought that, let's give an opportunity to this lady. So I did an interview, and they thought that I was ready for that role leading this organization.
Well, let's talk about mentorship. A lot of people try to test through it that if you want to succeed, you should have a mentor, someone who could train you and give you the ways. Did you ever have mentors in your life, and how did they help you or contribute to your success today?
Okay. Oh my goodness, I cannot stress the importance of having a mentor. So you need a mentor, and you need a coach, and you also need a sponsor.
Okay, before you go forward, after you tell us the importance of a mentor, please give us a difference between a mentor, a coach, and a sponsor.
Okay. So, that's a very interesting question. Yeah, because I think sometimes people use the terminology interchangeably.
Yeah.
Well, those are 3 different. So, let's start with a sponsor, right? A sponsor is a person who will always speak on your behalf, will always flag your flagship, will behind closed doors. Where you're not there, they will speak about you. And whenever there are opportunities, they will bring your name and they will push for you to take that opportunity. So, and I believe through my journey, I had a sponsor who spoke on my behalf in those closed doors. So I always encourage people who are, anyone at any given time, make sure that you have a sponsor that they will speak and they'll give your voice in those areas where you yourself are not there physically. Yeah, so that's a sponsor. A coach and a mentor. A coach to me is a person who is very specific in coaching you in certain subject matter, certain skill set that you need. They're really very hands-on, very on the ground with you. While a mentor is a person that you look up to. They might even not be specific in your subject matter, but they have the knowledge and they have the know-how to navigate across, and they have the diversity. So it doesn't mean that because I'm the CEO in a healthcare organization, my mentor has to be someone in healthcare industry. No, my mentor can be someone in a completely different industry, but they hold a seniority leadership role that they have gone through the same pathway I've gone through, and they can help me not to make mistakes necessarily, and to say, don't go through that path. I went through that path, and these were the learnings. So they give you a shortcut, basically. Not necessarily you, because sometimes if you have someone to guide you, not necessarily to make mistakes that they make, then it's a very key person to have, because they will really guide you in making sure that you're not necessarily making mistakes that they did. So I am very blessed to have had all those 3 people. I had a coach, I had different coaches through my journey. And a coach is a person who puts a mirror on your face constantly. And sometimes you want to hit them, like literally, you want to slap them.
Yeah.
Because they tell you how it is. How it is. So, and once you start accepting, I always say, one of my affirmation is feedback. There's no feedback to feedback. If someone gives you feedback, appreciate it, because they really want you to grow. And that's the role of a coach. They genuinely believe in you and they know you can do it, so they'll press all the buttons to get the best out of you.
Wow. So with that definition that you gave me, I just started trying to see how people fit into my life. So I also have a couple of questions based on that, but I'll ask this later on, so we could focus on what is bringing us here today. So you've told us about mentorship. I would like to know about your leadership style. Going through your LinkedIn, I saw something called lean management, something that you're really pioneer about. I don't know if that is a leadership style, but if it is, when did you know that this is something that this is how I want to lead, and how is it helping you in management?
Okay, so lean managers, it's a concept, and it was really kind of came from the Toyota, the automobile industry. Lean is about removing waste. Okay, lean is about looking at people, is looking at processes. You know, leadership, it's about leading people. You don't lead things, you lead people. So how do you lead people? You lead people by influencing them. You have to know that you want the best, you want to take out the best from them. And that itself, it's a skill. And this is why I always say, a boss is not always right. Because if someone is employed, that means there's something in them that they have to offer. Yeah? Leadership in lean perspective is about problem solving. Every day there's a problem for you to solve. If you come to work and there's no problem, you're not needed.
Exactly.
Right? So whenever, and it's really a perspective. It's how you have that outlook. It's really start with the mindset. You need to have the right mindset. So if you come to work and say, there's so many challenges, there's so many problems. Well, guess what? That's why you're here. A day you don't have a challenge, I'm sorry, you're not needed. You're not needed. So it's really, how do you change that mindset to say, okay, this is a problem. I am needed to solve this problem. And each solution of a problem creates another problem. So lean management, it's about continuous improvement. It's how do you, every day, you make a step to come from this step to the next step. And every time you make that next step, guess what? You've just created a new standard. How do you now create an opportunity to go to the next step? So lean is about continuous improvement. It's about every day you want to remove waste. If it's a process, you want to remove waste. For example, there are 7 kinds of waste. Okay? You can go back. I can give you examples.
Yes.
So for example, time, waiting is a waste. Repetitive motion is a waste. So there's something called teamwork. Inventory. If you have too much stock, it's waste. It's sitting there. So you have to constantly making sure in whatever you're doing and the process that you're doing, how do you constantly removing waste into that? Yeah. So I guess that's just in a nutshell.
Well, speaking to you just for a few minutes, there's so much that I've learned, and it made me have this question in the back of my mind. Do you have people that you're mentoring, especially young women?
Yes. So one of my leadership style, I am so passionate in creating other leaders. That is something that I believe it's my purpose, is to make sure that every day I make an impact, I influence positively to others so that they also know and believe that they can be a leader. So I do that in different ways. Here at CCBRT, I do coach and mentor. I have people who would directly report to me. So for me is, how do I make them better every day? And leadership is about asking the right questions. That's what we should do, because they have the answers. So sometimes the answer, the quality of a response you get is the quality of the question you ask.
Yeah.
So I always challenge people that for you to get the best answer, make sure you make your quality of the questions are better. If you don't ask a good question, you will not get a so good answer. So as a leader, our job is to provoke by asking the right questions. So that is one way. But the other way, I have a digital platform, and it's called Dear Girl Child, BMK. It's an Instagram platform whereby I intentionally mentor upcoming leaders. I know it says Dear Girl Child, but I have quite a number of male that I mentor as well, and they always come, DM message. We are shy to ask questions publicly because this is a Dear Girl Child platform. So I have the mentees, both male and female, and this is something that really takes my time because you need to give it time. So for me, I am intentional in creating more leaders. So I have to find time, and sometimes it takes a lot of toil, but I tell myself, Brenda, this is why you're here. This is your purpose. So you need to create time to do that.
I love the fact that you reach someplace at the top and you're like, okay, I have to pull up more leaders to be here. And that is something that as youth and young people, we really need someone who could show us the way, just like you're saying. So let's speak about gender equality. We want to have an equality in the future when it comes to leadership, especially the top management roles. Now, when you look at other sectors like the finance sector, you realize that the top management roles don't have enough females. There are a lot of females in the finance sector, but there are very few at the top. How is it in the health industry? I know our current Minister of Health is a female, and the previous one was a female as well, which is a very good thing. It means that women are trusted with these positions. When it comes to organizations and the like, how is the situation right now?
It's not good. It's not good, and it's very interesting. I'll leave you with homework.
Okay.
Go and find all the chief executive officers or managing directors of all top hospitals in Tanzania. Starting from the national hospitals and all the zonal referral hospitals.
Yeah.
And you'll find out how many are female. It's only random. But I didn't say that, right?
Well, yeah.
So,
excellent here.
Great. So, we still have work to do.
Yeah.
And, here's the thing. We cannot shy off of also point out culture and the norms that play part in this situation. Okay, so I can look at it in two perspectives. One, still people don't trust business leaders to be females. When I was appointed, which is now 3 years ago, there are people who came and told me to my face that CCBRT will die in the next 3 months.
Just because you're female?
Just because I'm female.
Okay.
And some people had the audacity to tell it on my face, but some people had, they were using other people that see how CCBRT will die in the next 3 months. I was even given time.
Yeah, time frame.
The time frame that this organization will die. Now, CCBRT might die, for God's sake, we don't want it to die.
Yeah.
But even if it does, it's not because of a female leader.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the other one is the trust of business leaders to be female. There's still that thing. There's no trust.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the cultural norms. What is that pool of female perspective leaders that can hold that top seat? That pool is not big, right?
Yeah.
Because to grow, that means you need to choose that top leader. You have to have a pool to say, right, we have 10 top female leaders that can hold this position. Let's give them opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, as long as we're not intentionally creating that pool, guess what? It will be 1 versus 10 male leaders.
Yeah.
So guess what will happen? They will give it more opportunities. Because the excuse will be, they didn't apply. Or we didn't find a credible leader.
Exactly.
So why now don't we have a bigger pool of female prospective leaders? So let's go back.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go back from where they were kids. What were we telling them? Not only telling them, what were we showing them that they can be? Right? What are the mental maps that they have when they were growing up? I'm very fortunate about for my parents, that never don't I remember a time in my upbringing that I was any different from my brother. But I'm very fortunate. I can tell you, not many girls had that same upbringing. Still, there's so many girls, they don't even believe it's possible to hold such position. So unless we address that cultural norm, unless we start rewiring the DNA, we will have the same problem. The other thing that we have is the priorities, right? Conflicting priorities. I said I'm a mother, right? So it's also sometimes against us, where we need to also have babies. We need to take time to have babies. And again, every time I say, you choose what hat you're wearing. This particular time I'm having an interview with you, I'm wearing my CEO, I'm wearing my leadership role.
Yeah.
But there were times in the same day, I'll be wearing 5 hats. Because now, you know what? Now I'm wearing my mother hat.
Yeah.
Something maybe has happened with my child. I wear my mother hat and deal with that. So we are constantly juggling. And sometimes we feel guilty, but we should not feel guilty. And we cannot do it all. We're not super beings.
Yeah.
We need a solid support system. We need people who can support us to be the best we can be. I'm very fortunate I have a husband who support me, who knows sometimes I'll come back late because I will have an event. So for example, today I have, apart from many roles I play, I also sit in board membership. And one of the boards that I'm sitting is a CEO Roundtable of Tanzania board.
Yeah.
And I am the only female in that board.
Checked.
So today we have an engagement with the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
That means I'll come back home late. So you also need to have a system that will support you to understand, because of those other roles that you're playing, I will not be able to do certain things that are norm for female.
Yeah.
Or, you know, for wife. Okay? So those are the challenges that us as women leaders that we're facing in terms of trust and in terms of being business leaders, but also the cultural norms that sometimes are against us.
And so with the whole journey that you have passed through until you're here today, I want to know, what was the most vulnerable moment where you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is getting so hard. You know, everybody passes through something. And I believe you being who you are today is because you had those moments where it was very difficult. Maybe you even considered giving up. You're like, this is not even worth it. But you kept going. So give us just one example of those experiences.
Oh, there are many. And not only giving up, you know, you had incidents where you just tears coming down. Okay, I always, the people that I mentor, I was like, it's okay to cry. Okay, and even boys, I was like,
okay,
find a place, go and lock yourself, let those tears out, dry those tears, and just remember, listen, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
Come back. Okay. I always give out this example because it's something that it always rings my bell. When part of the roles that I play at CCBRT in leadership, I was the director of the hospital, disability hospital. And I had a visitor who came and I will not mention their names because they're known and they're quite high up. And they wanted to come and meet the director of the Disability Hospital because there are opportunities that they wanted to have by then with the Disability Hospital CCBRT. So they came and my secretary called me and said, you know, your visitor is here. I said, okay. I went to the door and I opened the door. And this very respectable man looked at me and he said, okay, I'm here to see the director. Is he? So he thought I was kind of like the gatekeeper of the director of the hospital.
Yes, or something.
Exactly, the PA or something. So I said, it's me, right? Now, two things could have happened there. I could have decided to be like, oh my gosh, how dare he? You know, just because I'm a woman, this is so, right?
Yeah.
Or to say, you know what? It's me. Have a seat. Let's have a conversation. How can be of help? And that's us as women. We get faced those incidents many times, and it's how we react against those situations. So we sat down, and he was like, he realized, yeah, I'm talking to the director of the Disability Hospital. So I have made the word stories, but every time one of my mentors is, it might be tough, but it can be done. So to me, it's encouraging. Whenever you are in a situation or a phase where things are easy, it's time to move. Things should not be
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Growth comes with challenges. Whenever you don't feel like you're challenged enough, know it's your time to make the next move.
Wow, interesting. So let's go to the last question.
Okay.
And this one, I'd like you to tell us, what would you have advised your younger self, knowing what you know today?
Okay. It's a process, and the process should never be rushed. Each part of the process will have a significant impact. Each challenge, each derail has a purpose, so trust the process. But also, I would like to say, invest in money market. Know your financials. Take care of your money. Imagine if, since I was in my teens, start putting money in, let's say, in UTT or whatever it is. Where would I be now? So, money market to take care of my financials. And lastly, enjoy yourself. Enjoy your journey. Yes.
Wow, that is very interesting. It has been quite a beautiful interview, very informative, very educative. I also saw you were a TEDx speaker.
Yes.
So I am starting to get why you even get to do that, because you speak so well. You know so many things, and you also know how to deliver these messages to people. Wow, that has been quite an interesting interview, and we have seen Miss Brenda, who is very intelligent, very beautiful, and she's a leader who wants to take other leaders at the top, especially young girls and females. So go check her page on Instagram, the page of Dear Girl Child,
yes,
right?
DMK.
Dear Girl Child, DMK, and go to learn a bit about it and learn more about her. The Citizen Rising Woman Initiative, it's aiming to empower more women, and it will be held on March 8th. So you have to follow our social media pages on The Citizen so you could know more about this forum, but also we'll be covering different people, different women in leadership on The Citizen newspaper. Don't forget to follow us. My name is Latricia Panda, and until next time.